Hey, everybody out there in Facebook land and YouTube land. Well, actually, no, we are not on YouTube tonight. I am trying to link up my other channel, my Dr. Robin channel, and it is not quite there yet, but that's okay. We're going to get there. But tonight is the first night that I'm broadcasting to my body, mind, and spirit health network. I'm so excited. Or body, mind, and spirit healing. God, I don't even know what it's called. But no, body, mind, and spirit healing. And I'm so excited to be there. It's great. And it's great to be working on my calling, I guess you'd call it, of helping people again. And in it with me to help people is Dr. Ben Karras. I'm going to bring him on stage. He is a graduate of Palmer Chiropractic College, a Reiki master, and I feel very privileged that he would spend some time with me today. So, welcome.
Hey, Robin.
We're going to talk about stuff that, if some people kind of don't feel comfortable with it, it's okay. We're going to talk about it anyway. But it's how to bring your body, mind, and spirit all together. Because things that you want to do, if you want to get healthy, what are you going to do? All of it together. What are you going to do if you want to manifest things? You're going to put your body, mind, and spirit in it, and you're going to want to do it all. Even if you're doing a witch and doing spell work, it takes all of it together to make things happen. So, Ben, tell us a little bit more about what you've learned about uniting body, mind, and spirit.
That's a very specific question, Robin.
I try.
I don't know if I can answer exactly the question you're asking, but
Okay.
What I will say is that all religions, all like different philosophies, they all talk about that there's like a physical, a mental, an emotional, couple of mentals, sometimes couple spirituals.
Mm-hmm.
And in my experience, all of them have some sort of validity. I can't really speak to what everyone should or shouldn't do, but what I've sort of explored is I started with network spinal analysis, and that's a work by Donnie Epstein. And he experiences all the different dimensions in a way that a lot of us don't get to. He had like some really interesting stuff when he was growing up. And what he's done is he's been able to take a lot of those like codes of creation that a lot of us can't really see, don't realize we're participating with, and filter them into different levels. Like he calls it like different intelligences. And I look at them like they're tools. I don't think that they're necessarily the way that every single person is going to interact, but I think they're a great format for connecting with source, the field creation, and all those different aspects of self. Yeah. Right. So I think there's so many ways that you can do what you asked me. Like, how do we create more wholeness? I think is really what you're saying between the mind, body, the mental, the emotional, the soul, the spirit.
Yes.
I don't really even know where to start. That's such a broad.
So many of us are stuck in this thing that we call reality, our own reality. And we're stuck there, and we're stuck there so hard that we don't know anymore how to connect to our mind, and how to read the signals the body's giving us, We talked about pendulum last night and how you can read the signals the body's telling us by using the pendulum even. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Do you want me to go with the pendulum, or do you want me to talk about how we can create connection in the body? Because you tapped on about 3-4 things there.
I'm just so darn excited about all of it.
I know you gave me about 3 or 4 things I can work with there.
Okay. Well, we're tapping in. So let's try tapping in.
Okay. So a lot of people always want to look for what's not working. This isn't working. This is bad. They create a judgment, and you can't judge it, because the second you're judging it, you're not really leaving that space open to be with what actually is there. And you're disconnecting. So one of the best tools, and this shows up a lot of places, I learned it from somatorespiratory integration, which is, again, another thing from Donnie Epstein, who's a chiropractor. It's becoming aware, acknowledging, accepting AAA without desire or hunger to change.
Uh-huh.
That is something I keep going back to. Another one of my mentors I've met over the years is Dr. David Breitbach, and he would have people like use compassion for those parts. Like if there's a feeling or an emotion that this part of the body plays with, learn out what the general themes are, learn to pay attention, and then, be compassionate to it.
Yeah.
And so I like to have people start with curiosity and compassion for their parts, for the different feelings that they're getting. Treat it like their child, a niece or a nephew.
Child, yeah.
Not necessarily their inner child, because if it's about them, again, they're starting to go back into their judging of themselves. So I don't start them with their inner child. I tell them, treat this like it's their child, their niece or their nephew, or something that they love, a pet, and show the type of love and compassion you would give to something of that nature, because then it makes it easier for people to give the love and compassion that they need without going into their own stuff about how harshly they judge themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's where I start with people.
Yeah. It sort of goes back to loving yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you want to create changes in all of these things, you do have to start with the body. The nervous system is central and core to our energy fields, the auric fields, the organs. Like it's the centerpiece to every single cell in the body. And every single cell in the body, including all the major organs that produce all our emotions. Every single cell in the body is connected to the central nervous system, except for like the white blood cells and the red blood cells are the only things that don't have a direct connection. And of course they wouldn't. They're constantly going around our systems. So breath work is a great way of connecting. You can use breath work, statements, acknowledgments, and affirmations, touch, paying attention to how the breath is moving, the movement of the body, any feelings of energy moving. There's a ton of different strategies.
Well, people can use meditation to get to places like that.
Yes, and meditation's great, but I think a lot of people try to escape their bodies thinking that everything in spirit and all that's great and whole is out there somewhere, instead of realizing that embodied consciousness is actually where it's at.
Yeah.
Because the whole microcosm is located in here, the ocean and a drop of water. You are a reflection of the whole. So you don't always have to escape and go out through some sort of meditation where you travel to gain wisdom or wholeness. A lot of times you can also find it through your connection of the body.
Yes, you can. And you really have to search inward for a lot of things, even just something simple like being happy, you have to search inward for that. It's not out there somewhere, People think, oh, if I get this or if I do that or if I'm with that person, I'm going to be happy. But if they're not happy inside here, they're not going to be happy with whatever they get. And
maybe they're not supposed to be happy because maybe whatever it is that's there that is creating a pain, and that pain is designed to get them out of something that's not right for them.
True.
When we're doing stuff in life that's not right for us, it's supposed to hurt.
Yeah, I think so, because what makes you uncomfortable drives change. Anything, if it makes you uncomfortable, you're going to change because you're not comfortable anymore.
But comfort is not necessarily great either, because people will choose.
It's the killer of dreams. Comfort is the killer of dreams.
People will choose a comfortable knowing a hell that they know over an unknown heaven any day of the week.
It's sad, because people just get to that point where they're comfortable and then they stop, when it's like, get up, and the journey's not over yet, and then they don't want to get out of that comfort zone. And, a lot of times looking inside of yourself and defining the things that you maybe don't feel comfortable with, but it's okay, but you have to walk through that fire, I think that's my opinion on it, that you have to take a harsh look at yourself and walk through the fire to get to the other side,
Yeah.
So, but that's only part of it. But the pendulum, I actually wore my pendulum tonight.
Mine's sitting next to me right here.
I have my little pendulum. Oh, nice. That's very nice. That's the selenite one, right?
Yeah, I actually had to fix it because the chain broke, so that little cage was my way of fixing it.
You did good. I like to bend wire. Here, I did this one right here. I bent that one. I did a wire bend on this guy here.
I have a lot of little wire wraps that I've done over the years. I don't think any of them are around where I can
Oh,
just
and I
grab
got
them
my
easily.
little my quartz. I call it the Schwartz. But
So
yeah,
there's a couple one more thing I really want to touch on for people that
sure.
I think is so important.
Hmm.
So many people focus on where there's no energy,
Yeah,
clearing the blockage. The energy might be there, but it's not available. We got to
right.
clear the blockage. We got to fix this. We got to do this. We've
Mhm.
got to do that. They always go to the places, chiropractors. They're always trying to adjust the subluxation. There's nothing
The
wrong with adjusting the
deficiency.
subluxation. It's worked for 120 something years.
Right.
But is it necessarily always the best strategy? No, because sometimes where it's subluxated
Hmm.
is actually where the body's defending itself. And if you go to where the
Right.
body's defending itself, you're taking 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, or 2 steps
Hmm.
forward, 1 step back.
Right.
And where I think a lot of people need to learn to pay attention to is learning how to start incorporating what's working right and putting their focus on what's working right. Because, like general law of attraction, you'll get more out of it if you focus on that one
Yes.
spot in the spine or in the one spot in the chakra where there's an opening, right? Maybe if you're working with the chakras, you're looking for an opening. That one spot in the auric field where there's just an opening, where you
Yeah.
can put a little bit of focus, a little bit of energy, a little bit of touch if it's on the spine. And it's
Hmm.
that one spot that opens up the whole system. The
Right.
idea that one spot could literally have enough energy to create a shift through the whole system.
I know, right? Isn't that great? Just
And
go ahead.
which brings us into the pendulum.
The pendulum. I love pendulums. I do divination and stuff with mine, but I'd like to hear your take on how you use yours.
I don't use my pendulum much anymore.
Oh, you don't?
I used to a
Uh-huh.
lot. I'm very
Yeah.
good with pendulums. I mean, I can demonstrate whatever you want, but
Hmm.
the way I use a pendulum was I had to use a pendulum. I had a past life pattern where all of a sudden one day I was doing leg checks the way they taught at torque release technique seminars for chiropractic.
Yeah.
And it's where you like press on a part of the body and you look and check the feet. And if the short leg became even with the long leg, that was a yes.
Uh-huh.
And if it came completely even, that was the one spot you wanted to go to. If it didn't come completely even, you'd say, oh, well, maybe that'll come up later. Or maybe it's
Hmm.
just not really the place we need to really be looking at. And I went from there and I took it to asking questions.
Yeah.
And I would get yes responses with the short leg becoming even. And then
Yeah.
one day it just all stopped working.
Oh, yeah. So then what do? You know?
I grabbed the pendulum because apparently I'd activated a past life pattern that needed to heal where apparently something had happened and I had blamed myself for someone else's mistake, but
Uh-huh.
I took the blame on and I'd put all my energy into this one pendulum, and the pendulum became an extension of my gifts and my spirit. And I wasn't
Mhm.
able to do any work without that pendulum because that pendulum was like an extension of my arm at that point.
Right.
And so I used a pendulum for about 4 years, and then eventually I was able to break out of it, and now I've got a different way of doing it. But
Yeah.
if you want to use a pendulum, the thing is be neutral. Ask
Yeah.
whatever you want, but the bigger the question, the more energy
Right.
in the question, the better the answer.
Right. And you can't you can't think to yourself ahead of time, oh, I know I'm going to get this answer. I want this answer because I think it will influence it.
Mm-hmm.
So
You also
anyway, I was
can't have an emotional, yeah,
an emotional attachment to the answer,
to the outcome.
to the
Yeah,
outcome.
you'll change it, and then you also have to know. And I think this is more for refinement, but you got to know where you're asking, who you're asking, what are you asking.
Right. Do you think the pendulum is is really just tapping into our higher self?
It could be,
Mhm.
but I think the pendulum is really just tapping into whatever you're putting your focus on.
Okay.
And so that's why you can't have an emotional bias or a mental thought of what it is, because you're just going to be, if your focus is on that mental thought, consciously, subconsciously, if your energy's in that emotional bias, that's what's coming through. That's what you're asking. So it's not necessarily your higher self.
Yeah.
It could
That's
be.
cool. I think Joanne is saying you are a young doc.
I'm
How
not.
old are How old are you, Ben?
I'll be 35 in March.
Oh, well, it's all in your perspective. So you're not that old.
No, I know, but I started school when I was for chiropractic when I was 23, so it's not
Yeah.
this
I was
isn't like a new thing for me.
I started when I was well, I started college when I was 20, and then I started Palmer when I was 25. So, and I was done by the time I was 30. My goal was to finish college before I turned 30, and I completed Palmer the day before I turned 30. So I just barely
Nice.
made that one. But I did. I met that goal, so that was all good.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, she
It's pretty
says,
cool.
"Are you interested in coming to Canada?" So,
No, but I do remote healing work.
there you go. So that's good. Um, Maybe you can help me and remotely heal my feet. They're terrible right now, but we'll talk about it later. Um, I just I would like to start walking again and getting my health back in order after my long time on the road. And living in the camper was not really good for me. So now I got to get my health back. She said no. She said no. They need doctors up there. So yeah.
Oh, does she realize I'm a chiropractor, right?
Well, and she said, and nurses and healthcare aides. But yes, Dr. Ben is a chiropractor, as I am, and he's also a Reiki master and does do.
I'm actually also
remote
a
healing.
network spinal practitioner, a biodynamic resonance practitioner, a zone technique practitioner. I've studied
Nice.
the motion code and body code.
Uh,
I'm also an SRI practitioner and I've created some of my own stuff and studied a couple of variations off of those works.
uh-huh. That's nice. You really have like expanded your knowledge quite a lot since Palmer and then 33 principles.
I never even studied the 33 principles.
Oh, you didn't?
I got the Stevenson book
Mm-hmm.
like literally the first week in school. I won it and I never opened it up. I still have
Oh
it.
my God.
And I just never felt drawn to look at it. I think it was more of a message from the universe that this is where I was supposed to be, more than I was
Yeah.
supposed to read that book.
Yeah.
And I actually resonate a lot harder with the theory of tone from D.D. Palmer, of
Yeah. That's
much more than
interesting stuff.
subluxation.
Yeah. Which, tone we were talking about goes back to vibration,
Mhm.
and you have to vibrate on a certain level. And that's why I use crystals a lot to help me get to my vibrational level. Stones have great vibe. I say stones have great vibes, and they do. Yeah, you got one too. Yeah. And
I've
because
got a lot.
they help you get to a certain point, at which you're vibrating at the kind of level that it takes to get you, to make you feel happy and make you see the good in life, and count your blessings and things like that. It just puts you in a right frame of mind, really.
I have to say, my opinion on crystals has changed a lot. I still use them, and I know they have their own little bit of consciousness to them in certain rights. But I
Yeah.
also think they're really more permission slips.
Yeah.
Really, they're putting a vibration into your field that's already accessible, right?
Yeah.
Which might be activating a part of yourself that's been dormant
Yeah.
at best, because
Yeah.
they're not creating anything for you per se. I
Right.
think they're almost reminding your system of its own brilliance by bringing a frequency into your field that maybe you weren't connecting with on your own,
Right.
just organically. But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that it's doing anything unique that you weren't capable of prior. So to me, a lot
True.
of this stuff is permission slips. Like
Maybe.
we're giving
Yeah.
ourselves
I
permission
like the way
slips to
you
do
look at
this.
that.
We're giving
Give
ourselves
your
permission
body
slips to
the
heal.
permission to be well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true,
Yeah.
a lot of people have this like sort of sickness model of what they believe to be the truth. I'm sick and I have this and I have that and I'm gonna probably die with it, when that's not necessarily the case. They get into the sickness model, and it's hard to break free from that. And things today like pharmaceutical companies and advertisements and medical doctors, they just really pander to that because it's a moneymaker. You know, when you
Mm.
stop feeling like you're like sick all the time, the sick one, you know, or this disease model, if you stop looking at things in that fashion, then, you know, you can be really good. So, you know, you do have to help yourself quite a bit. Really, your health is in your hands. And if you choose not to be healthy, you're not going to be, you know. But if you stop beating yourself up and and get off the couch, you can really feel good.
There's also
Honestly.
a lot. There's also a lot of distractions and distortion, like coming in from all of the money, all of the lobbying, all of the marketing ads,
Oh,
everything, which make it really difficult because oh, the science is changing again. It's always changing. It's like, how are you supposed to know what diets are going to work, how to eat, when to eat? And then a lot of people just get sucked up in all of the difference, like, oh, I've got to go vegan. Oh, I've got to go carnivore. Oh, I've got to do
I gotta
this.
go
Oh, I've got to do that.
keto.
Oh, I can only take 30-second breaks between my sets, and I've got to do 10 to 12 only for reps. Versus, no, you've got to take 2-minute breaks and do 1 to 3 reps or 3 to 5 reps. And like,
Right.
oh, no, cardio is good for you. No, it's bad for you. No, it's this. Now it's that.
I know, right?
People are getting janked around every direction, and most of them don't even realize that everything they're buying's got like toxic seed oils and stuff in it.
Oh yeah,
And they're
for
like,
sure.
why am I not getting healthier? Why is my body always hurting? It's like, well,
Yeah.
most of your diet's just filled with inflammatory
Hmm.
substances.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and people are eating iceberg lettuce and thinking they're doing themselves a favor.
Yeah.
It's, no, you're
So
not.
you gotta be like, yeah, show some compassion. It just kind of sucks. Like
Yeah.
the amount of just
Well, the amount of bullshit
distortion.
information
Yeah.
out there is incredible, you know. And they're all trying to sell you a book about their latest diet and all this stuff. And honestly, you know, leafy greens, eat leafy greens. They got lots of calcium in them. You know, they're good for you. And the brighter the color of something like blueberries or something, the better it is for you. Beets, things like that, you know. They're not great, but hey, if you eat them often enough, you'll get used to it. Trust me, I hated green peppers and peppers in general. I'm eating the shit out of them now. It's like, no, I guess that's they don't taste so bad after all.
Um,
So,
a lot of
you
people
know,
have to get past the point of thinking it doesn't matter that much or not willing to admit how much it matters, where they're
mm,
like eating for taste instead of eating for
right.
health, and then realizing that if you eat for health,
Uh-huh.
some of those things actually taste better.
Oh
And
yeah.
some of them will just take your body a little bit of time because your brain is hooked to
Mhm.
all the chemicals and the other foods. So
Right.
yeah, it tastes like shit because your body's saying, no, I want
High
this
fructose corn
XYZ
syrup. This
or
isn't sweet
XYZ
enough.
other chemical. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Like the high fructose corn syrup or some other chemical. There's so
Yeah.
many of them. There's 40,000,
Oh
I think,
yeah.
at least, that are illegal in Europe that are legal in
Yeah.
the US.
You know what floored me is in Cheerios. Now, who hasn't given their kid a handful of Cheerios at one point? And Cheerios actually have a cancer causing agent. I can't I'm gonna be honest, I can't remember. It's like BTH or something like that. It's
Okay.
terrible. It's and if and you know it's like a paint something they use in paint shops and stuff too. So and it's labeled a biohazardous chemical. It's also found in Cheerios.
Yeah.
And if you were to give your kid a handful of that, they'd be calling DHS on you for being a bad parent. But give your kid a handful of Cheerios and everybody says, "Oh, that's cute, isn't it?" You know, it's just like, come on, people. Read the labels. Start
The co-
reading
the
labels.
the
And I
cog
know it takes
the
more time and it's crap that we have to
yeah.
shuffle through all this shit to find out that we're eating crap.
What was it not cognitive bias? Is it cognitive disassociation? Is that the word?
Mhm.
Is
I think
that
so,
what
yeah.
I'm trying? I'm not sure if I'm finding the right terms right now,
I believe so.
but it's just rampant. Like
Yes.
people just double think. This is
Hmm.
okay, but this isn't. This isn't.
Right. And it's like, we're killing ourselves with and all the pesticides. I was looking at the whole McDonald's French fry thing. I haven't had
Oh,
McDonald's French fries for a long time because they suck. Oh, who is that?
look,
Is it
who do you
Santa
think it is?
Claus?
No, that's Stevie Palmer.
Oh, it's Dee Dee Palmer.
Yeah, and he's wearing a thing on his face that's projecting a globe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's from the
Mile
Mile
High.
High.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Sorry, it's chiropractic. Man.
No, that's cool. Chiropractic's great. I have license in 2 states that I'm not in right now. So I'm working on other things to help people. And this whole, making the connection, I really it's it'll make me a better chiropractor, the things that I'm studying, because I didn't make the connection earlier. And, I thought, oh, like stuff like NET was,
Ooh,
you know,
great.
a bit esoteric for me. It wasn't scientific enough,
He
and
didn't
that
even
was
bother to look and
bullshit.
see if there was science. That was
Well,
the
yeah.
problem.
I mean, that was the
That's
problem. I had a bias, because I
before
thought
you
it
even
was
looked at it.
esoteric, and I didn't think that that was something that what I needed in my wheelhouse, and now I see how wrong I was about that. And
Hmm.
that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on my show, is to just that you could share this, because now I see that it's very valid. And
Oh, I don't do NET. I do network.
network. Okay, sorry.
It's okay. No, neuroemotional technique versus network spinal analysis.
Okay.
NET is great work. I haven't taken it personally. I studied
Uh-huh.
emotion code. I've got biodynamic resonance, which is, for those who don't know, it's a form of healing that uses water that's been vibrationally or electronically programmed with concepts, healing constructs, or the vibration of different substances. And I actually have about 5, 6, 7 emotional programs in my case.
Oh.
And literally, it's just is they act like software programs for the body
Uh-huh.
to remember its own brilliance. Because the
Right.
body's capable of all these different things, shifting, healing, moving energy,
Oh, yeah.
processing information. So you use them like a way of just reminding the system, look how brilliant you are. You can do this, and you just
Yeah.
like lay it on the body and run it. And it's actually a branch off of a much earlier chiropractic technique known as total body modification
Okay.
by Dr. Viktor Frank. And
Uh-huh.
his son, who's a naturopath,
Mhm.
Randy Frank, who does natural healing systems, and his work
Mhm.
is both of those works are still going too.
Mhm.
But network is saying what is that one point in the spine and nervous system, most likely in a place where the spinal cord attaches, neck or sacrum. So a lot like cranial sacral, and says, where's the one place in the system that we can make a contact that helps the system remember its brilliance to reorganize itself, and it creates respiratory waves or kundalini like
Mhm.
it's not exactly kundalini, but I think it's of the same energetics, but a wave or an undulation that moves through the spine. Hey, we're doing pretty good, thanks, Kelly. That moves through the spine and helps the brain basically remap the body in the present moment. And the reason why this is so important is because what happens to the average individual is they have an experience of life where their system like almost like takes a snapshot or like an after image for, like on an
Mhm.
x-ray, almost like an old-fashioned x-ray,
Yes. Uh-huh.
and the body continues to respond in this defensive loop that it
Mhm.
gets stuck in. And so what we're saying is that this whole system is playing out this loop, this response to chemicals, emotions. That
Mhm.
time I got into the fight with dad and it was really bad, and all those emotions that never got processed, and the
Mhm.
guilt and the shame and the anger and the frustration. Maybe there's hitting involved in that
Yeah.
situation, right? And the system gets caught up in that. And
Mhm.
this is saying there's a point in the system that can help distract the system from being focused on how these neurons are firing and holding this pattern in
Mhm.
place, literally wired into your body. And
Yeah.
you make this contact, or like this little thumb contact in the right spot, and the whole system goes, what was that? Starts looking for it, and it distracts you out of that loop. And that's
Yeah.
like a really simple way of talking about network without talking about all the real complex stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's an amazing discipline. It's a consciousness-based discipline. It's got energetics about all the things we talked about in the beginning of this call, the mental, the
Mhm.
emotional, the physical, the spiritual. It's got all of it. And
Right.
it's got layers for really understanding the roadmap for the human condition and
Uh-huh.
being able to determine where someone's at in this moment and where they need to be, and then helping them bridge that gap
That's good.
with nothing
And
but light touch.
and that's network, right?
That's network spinal analysis, and originally network chiropractic. And those are three different techniques,
Uh-huh.
but they all come from the same lineage. They have the same
Mhm.
analysis with slightly different applications in theory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same guy, though.
Do you ever use you were talking about water and vibrations and stuff.
Sure.
Do you ever use like sounding bowls, like Tibetan bowls or anything like that?
I have one in my office. I use it to cleanse and clear my room between clients. Sometimes I use it on a patient when I need to. And there's a lot of different applications for those. Like you can use them
Hmm.
for the frequency of the different chakras or
Hmm.
frequency of different things. I use it primarily as putting vibration into the field and the space, and then I
Hmm.
set an intention to
Yeah.
cleanse, clear the energy, sending any negative or lower vibrational energy back to source, or to transmute it
Hmm.
into something better. And to
Yeah.
me, it's more of the singing bowl is a permission slip, and the sound is just a way of changing the distortion in the field in the
Right.
space.
Right. That's good. I like that. I like that. It's a permission slip to move on to the next thing and get all that energy, that was associated with that
Yeah,
bad thing out of there.
or not even necessarily bad, just
Right.
not useful.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Right? Who cares about bad or good? Bad's just
Yeah.
you judged it as bad. That
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
necessarily
true.
make it bad.
That's true. And we were talking about the Seth books, and I don't know how many of these guys. What was the name of it again? Seth
Uh,
Speaks.
the Eternal Validity of the Soul. That book
Yeah,
is yeah, wild.
it's phenomenal, and it's an eye opener. That we don't just choose to make our lives what they are, because we do. We manifest things every day. We choose our own life through the choices that we make. Um, you can choose to walk out in front of the bus if you want to. You know, but even more than that, we've chosen it before we were ever even born. We chose our parents. We chose this life
Mhm.
as the beings that we really are, because this isn't it. This isn't it. It's way down in there somewhere, and this corporeal body is not really who we are inside. It's just the vessel by which we are meandering around the planet.
Mhm.
And so we chose the life that we wanted, and the
Or the
thing we
life that
have
we
to do
needed, because
now.
some of us are on missions.
Yeah, some of us are on missions, some of us are just here to learn and take it all in,
Yep.
maybe share what we learned with others, and that's why we're here. And I really feel like um you'd think to yourself, why would somebody choose to go to a life, say in Pakistan, not in Pakistan, in Palestine? Why would you choose to be a refugee in Palestine? But to me, I kind of figured out why you would, because you're trying to show the rest of us the futility of war. You know, you're trying your
Hmm.
best as a higher being to show that there's no winning, there's no good side to it, and that we really should give up on the pursuit of it. And I think we're trying to tell each other that, but a lot of us are not listening, not
Yeah.
hearing that. But I
There's
think that that's
also
why you would do it.
yeah.
That's why you might choose a life like that. You
I might
know.
give you. I'm going to give you another possibility as well.
Okay.
That the energy that they're building in this lifetime is either one of two things. Either if they survive in this lifetime, it may be to be liberated for greater gifts that they can bring to others later, right?
Right.
And helping shift the future in this lifetime, or
Yeah.
they're creating karma that needs to be shifted and healed in a future lifetime, where they
Yeah.
are building up energy for something to shift late into a different lifetime. So
Yeah.
if you look at it as just if you're only looking at of like why from this lifetime you get one perspective, but if you think
Mhm.
about it like this person's had hundreds, dozens, or maybe even thousands or tens of thousands
Who
of
knows?
lifetimes, then
Lots of lifetimes.
you have to start looking at it from a couple 100,000 miles back and be like, what's the bigger pattern going on amongst like this whole mosaic of all these roles that they've taken on?
Right.
How are
Well,
they
and
all
the
interconnected?
way Seth explains it is that a lot of this is also happening simultaneously. So a life that I might be living in the 1400s, I'm living it right now.
Well, yeah, because
It's
there's no such thing as
There's
time.
no such thing as time. And
Yeah.
so I can slip between these lives. And I think that's kind of what deja vu is. When something like when two worlds collide and it's like, wasn't I just here? Didn't I do this
Mhm.
before? You may have,
Yeah.
and it may have been minutes ago. Who knows? I mean, because there's no thing as time to the eternal beings that we are. It's deep, isn't it?
I've been thinking about this kind of stuff for quite a while. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it
it's
is
like
deep thought, but I think it's sometimes it's just the realizations we need to come to be able to become more enlightened or ascend to this next plane. I mean, we'll be there
yeah,
anyway, but we'll be a little smarter. So, and I think a lot of it's about learning things like empathy and
some of it's
compassion,
some of
giving
it,
and
yes.
receiving love. I think it's a
Some of
lot
it's
of
also
it.
learning how to be wounded. That's another thing. Everyone wants
True.
to always focus on the love and the light. It's not all about
Right.
love and light, Robin.
Yeah.
It's not all about love and light.
It's more than
It's
that.
never been just about all love and light.
No.
One of the things that we talk about in my business coaching group, holistic business coaching group, is
Huh?
maybe this person, like if someone brings up like being wounded by someone, like I brought that up one
Mhm.
time about something that someone had done to me. I'm not going to go into detail there, but
Sure.
he said, my coach said to me, he's another chiropractor friend of mine, and he goes,
Uh-huh.
what if that person was your best friend and you literally signed up and they were such a good friend, they literally signed up to hurt you like this so that you could get that experience and then
Right.
also learn how to heal it?
Right.
And so a lot of times when people, I think, try to judge it as bad, this person hurt me, how terrible they did this. And
Right.
yeah, on certain levels for sure. But then on
Mhm.
another level, they signed up for it and so did you perhaps to some
Right.
degree. And this was actually something that you needed to go through, needed to experience, chose to
Mhm.
experience.
Mhm.
And sometimes you chose to experience it kicking and screaming, and other times you chose to experience it regularly. But
Right.
there's just that possibility that not everything that's so sorry, I keep making these hand motions and I realize my hands off camera. I'm Italian. What can I say? We use our hands. These experiences are part of the growth. I mean,
Yeah.
we're literally source creator experiencing itself through us.
Yes.
We are enriching the field of source of God, the creator.
Uh-huh.
You can take God as an individual and
Mhm.
maybe like they can show up that it can show up that way to you. But to
Right.
me, God's like this infinite field of consciousness.
Yeah.
And we're all
When
just living in it and parts of it.
Yeah, we're living in parts of it. We are part of it. We
Yeah.
are we are part of God. We are gods in our own right. We are I think that if we attain enlightenment and because listen, you wouldn't give a 5-year-old omnipotence and say, "Do whatever you want, kid."
Why
Because
not?
frankly, they would probably treat us like ants with a magnifying glass and go, ha ha ha. You really don't want that for your universe. Your universe isn't going to be super successful if you do that. So, in order to be able to be our own gods and create our own universes out there in the cosmos, I think we have to learn certain lessons. And Earth is like a proving ground. It's like a place where we have disappointments and we have elation, and we have all these emotions, and it teaches us to be empathetic and sympathetic, and to love one another, and to be kind to one another, and to defend ourselves when necessary. And I think that that's part of why we're here, and so that we can eventually become these omnipotent creators ourselves, But
Possibly,
that's
but
just
there's
me.
also that possibility if you watch the Seth Speaks that we already are. It's
Right.
just you're this layer or this thread that we call Robin. I'm this layer, this
Mhm.
thread that we call Ben. But then there's another layer, because if you've read far enough into the Seth Speaks, the
Mhm.
eternal validity of the soul, at one point Seth was channeling what he referred to as Seth 2, a much higher vibrational state version of himself, a higher consciousness aspect of who he is as a whole spirit. And he was channeling that, and then that was getting channeled into Jane.
Yeah.
So if you think about it and you take yourself out of this very linear thinking, there's
Right.
already higher vibrational consciousness versions of you. Like I already know I come from an ancient unity consciousness. A
Yeah.
lot of us, especially a lot of the healers, we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And so that means that this is just a role of something much bigger, because this
Right.
isn't me. This is a role. This isn't.
Right.
We get caught up in
It's
that
a
role
character.
hardcore sometimes, but this is still
Yeah.
not me. This is.
Right.
I'm not Ben, but
I'm
I've
not
got this.
Ben, but I
I've
play
got
him
this.
on TV.
Yes, and I'm not this body, but I've got this
Right.
body.
Right. It's just your
And
vehicle for getting around like I said, lumbering around the planet. Because honestly, it's like I feel like these corporeal bodies are like a car. You don't have the same car your whole life. You get in the one I had when I was 20 was like a gremlin. So you get in your gremlin and you drive around, but then the gremlin dies after a while. So then you go get another one, you just get in another car. Might be kind of a simple view, but it's mine. So, hey, show me the tattoo on your arm. I noticed you have a spine on your arm. That's so cool. I love it.
then the other side is
A mandala.
um
Yeah.
mandala with a flower of life and an all-seeing eye.
Nice. I like it. Very cool. Very spiritual. It kind of
Yes.
it ties in with who you are. You're a healer and you're spiritual, and it's kind of all ties in together. I like it.
My original, not original actually. It's like my third or fourth in, but
You have a DD pie, don't you?
no, I don't. Oh no, I have a crest.
You have the crest. Okay. DD pie crest. Nice. I have a DD pie on my bottom. I'm not going to show it off. I really need to get a nice cover up of it done because it's kind of I wanted it super small, and so now it's just like a blob because it was too
Yeah.
small. So, but it is what it is.
Did you have any other questions about the pendulums or about anything else, something more specific?
Do you when you use the pendulum, you ask it questions like what are the questions that you ask when you are doing like a session where you use it?
That's too broad.
Okay.
So with it, I can answer this a bunch of different ways. It really depends. At this point, if I were to not do what I do now and I were to go backwards to what I used to do 5, 6 years ago, 4 years ago, then what I used to do is I used to take everything I knew how to do. I used to turn my intuition off back then.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Okay.
My intuition was like off. I had to be right. Right. Yeah. And I had so much self-doubt. And so the pendulum was a way for me to get certainty back then.
Okay.
And so what I would do is I would take all the disciplines I had. So network was like on my menu, I had a menu that I wrote out and also went over in my head over. So my menu, like I think a computer. Network, then I had structure, and then the sub-menu of structure was occiput, the C-spine, T-spine, L-spine, pelvis, extremities, ribs, rib cage, organs, etc. Right? Like real in depth. And then there'd be sub-menus off of each of those, right? C1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Body right, body left, spinous, transverse, like wherever I need to make the contact. That was how I used to operate.
Okay.
I work a little differently now, but and then what you would do is you have all these different things like the structure, the network, the vials that I do, the Reiki or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and all the sub menus that when you go into it, like it's basically like having a bunch of encyclopedias, and you're
Mm-hmm.
basically trying to figure out with all this knowledge I've got,
Mm-hmm.
which book,
That's the
which
thing is,
volume, which
yeah,
page,
right,
which chapter, which page. And
right.
that's what I used to do with my pendulum is I would keep going back to highest, greatest good. What does this person's higher self need from me to
Uh-huh.
do for them in this moment, in this time, in this version of them?
Okay.
Where do I structurally adjust, whatever, and then looking for the energy availability within it. So like if
Okay.
I went to a structurally adjust, I'd look for an ease, a peace, rapport. When I touched that area and started moving them, what opened their breath up more? What did I felt connected? When did everything feel just lined up? That when
Uh-huh.
everything was set,
Right. All
or
right. The
or
old
with network. And so like a
Torque.
pendulum, you could use it like that. Like
Okay.
I can use an example for you right now, if that's
Uh-huh.
okay.
Sure.
So I'll just ask if I can connect with you just for a second, just for the purpose of testing.
Yes.
Okay, so like one thing you can do is like I'm connected with Robin right now. So what would be your priority? Breath, spine, occiput, C spine, T spine, L spine, no pelvis. I don't really do much with the T or L spine anymore. Sometimes. Sacrum, S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, coccyx. Coccyx. Okay, so your tailbone is what's the priority right now.
Okay.
One thing I can
I'm
have
kind
you
of not
do.
surprised. I've been sitting on it a lot.
Well, it's not just that. Tailbone deals a lot with first chakra. It deals a lot with
Yes.
victim consciousness, and
Yes.
whatever it combines with, it acts like a volume knob.
Mm-hmm.
So, like if you've got a pattern of spinal cord tension in the lower neck, which deals with trust, others, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anger, bitterness, resentment, and all of a sudden the tailbone's activating with it. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to ramp it up to feeling like something was done to you against your will. You feel like a victim, like you had no choice in it. It's the spinal cord tractions the spinal cord away from the neck. And if the neck is shortening up here too,
Mm-hmm.
you're just like doubling up the tension going
Mm-hmm.
through the system, which is a lot of your crouched, rounded,
Yes.
defeated posture,
Yeah.
tailbone and like pelvis is curled under, low neck is down like this.
Uh-huh.
But the positive end of that is unconditional love. Like when that area is very resourced and energized,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it feeling safety in the experience of your body, safety in
Mm-hmm.
who you are, because of first chakra stuff,
Mm-hmm.
feeling like you were feeling the sense of unconditional love, like nothing can knock you off your rocker because
Yeah.
like how can you be angry, upset, or feel like a victim if you're feeling unconditional love?
I'm kind of feeling that now because I'm here with family, and Texas has been good for me, very good for me, and I do really, I'm starting to really feel like, family's good for me right now because I'm getting that unconditional love,
Sciatic nerve, Joanne, deals with a lot of different things. It's not necessarily a sciatic issue. It can come from any part of your spinal column and spinal cord. There are a couple that are a little bit more likely to create some issue there. But in
Mhm.
reality, your spinal cord attaches in the neck and the other end of your spine by your butt, your sacrum and tailbone.
Mm-hmm.
And so any tension pulling anywhere in the system, either pulling like where it's shortening side to side or
Mm-hmm.
it's shortening this way, like long ways in your spine, is
Mm-hmm.
going to shorten the whole spinal column and cord,
Mm-hmm.
creating compression on the spinal column internally and externally. And then that's going to pull and tug on that sciatic nerve, which is the biggest nerve that goes down
Mm-hmm.
through the butt cheek and down the leg and anchors into your Achilles tendon. So if you're having sciatic nerve issues, you're probably also having like rolling your ankle or ankle issues, and stuff like that. But really, it's not a sciatic nerve issue. The sciatic nerve is just it's just the symptom.
Mm-hmm.
If you step on a dog's tail, it's not the tail, it's the bark.
Yeah, and then
So Robin, what you
I
can do
think
right
a
now.
lot of these problems are the bark.
So
Yeah.
Robin, what you can do right now is you can just breathe. You can literally like take your finger, put it by your tailbone, and just breathe with your eyes
Okay.
closed into that tailbone.
I'll do it
Find a
after
place.
the show.
Sure. Find a place. The key is find peace and ease. Okay.
Okay.
Find a spot that feels peaceful that with your heart when you touch it.
Okay.
Find that spot that feels peaceful, and then just traction gently with a finger, just very gently, and
Okay.
breathe into it, and it'll shift.
Okay. I'm doing that, but I'm going to wait until after the show.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Well, we're
Any
kind
other
of at that
questions?
point too. Pardon me. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say any other questions that you wanted to ask about the
I don't know.
pendulum?
Does our audience have any other questions? We got a couple people here, so if anybody has a question, please feel free to put it in the chat, and I will be glad. Oh, tapping. You're talking about. I think she's talking about tapping for.
EFT.
Well, yeah, and like for anxiety, you can do the taps for anxiety, all that.
No, I'm not talking about that at all. But
Well, I
that's
think
great
that
stuff
might be what
too.
Joanne is talking about, or maybe not.
Is there a question?
Huh?
Is there a question there?
Maybe she's talking about. I don't know. She just says
Look,
tapping.
EFT, tapping. It's called EFT,
Yes.
emotional freedom technique.
Yes, and it does kind of help with anxiety, from what I understand. So.
Yeah, we were talking about this in my group. So we're talking about brushing. I think it's also known as havening, which is the same thing.
Yes, and I used to do that a lot myself, just kind of innately,
No, I didn't tell Robin to tap. I told Robin to
hold pressure.
To put gentle pressure with her finger, like to find the place of peace and ease, and to traction, like pull gently, like just pulling the skin gently, like she doesn't have to do it bare, like skin on skin. She can just do it over her pants, but like just like tractioning and breathing in, and then
it'll make a change, I'm sure.
Yeah, because what you're doing is you're just finding where the energy wants to move and how it wants to move, and putting your focused breath, energy, and attention there.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is just straighten your posture when you do it.
Well, and I've been having issues with breathing and stuff too. So if that's kind of part of it, I think, and part of the reason I'm like hunched over and stuff a lot, because and that could be part of it why I'm having breathing troubles. I'm hunching over. But I do need some care.
The hunching over might also be the sympathetic system being a little overworked. You've been through some stuff. Your body's still maybe running some old programming, and that's shifting your posture, the available amount of life force energy in your system, and it's causing your connective tissue and fascia to tighten, both externally with your posture, but also internally within those meninges, that spinal cord, within around the lungs and the epipleural tissues, and then the tissues around the diaphragm.
Yep.
Causing, and then it's a cascade.
Yeah, it is. It is a cascade because everything's connected from the top of our head to the soles of our feet. We are all connected, and we are all connected to the universe in general, So there's a lot of connections going on there, and I'm trying to make new connections, ones that are better for me health-wise and mentally and physically and everything, So it's not easy, but I took a year off from my health, and now I'm paying the price.
Yeah.
Says, where do you live in the States that I'm going to stalk you? Ben, you're going to get stalked. No, Joanne's a nice person. She's not a stalker. But where are you?
No, she said she's going to stalk me, not stalk me. So she's going to send me food. Get it?
She's going to send you food.
Send me food. Yeah, she's going to stalk me.
Gotcha.
Wisconsin.
Oh, you're in Wisconsin. You're from Wisconsin, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So that's cool. We met in college at Delta Pi Professional Chiropractic Fraternity. You know what? Let's just for fun. Let's not do the cheer, but how about if we do a barnacle for them? Ready?
I don't remember.
Oh, you don't remember Alpha Beta?
Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, Theta,
Kappa, Mu, Nu, Xi, Omicron, Pi, Rho, Sigma, Tau, Epsilon, Phi, Chi, Psi, Omega, Delta, Pi.
I actually learned it before then because I was actually in an undergraduate fraternity.
Okay, cool.
So I actually had the whole
your,
alphabet memorized.
Greek alphabet then.
Yeah, really well. Like we used to try to light a match and see if we could say it before it burned our fingers like this. Like first we go this way.
Basement too, right? You remember that?
Yeah, but luckily none of us were forced to do it. We used to do it for ourselves, though.
Oh, we were forced to do it in the basement at the frat house,
Yeah, but
and
that was
it
back in
was,
the '90s,
"You
Robin.
gotta
You're not
let your
helping. You're not
brother
helping
burn."
Greek life right now, Robin. You're not helping Greek life right now. I'm just saying.
No, it was fun though. It was fun. It was a learning experience. I learned and I grew so much in that time. Learned lessons I probably wouldn't have learned otherwise, and it was all good. So, Greek life is fun. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
So,
I had
but
enough of
anyway, we're
it,
at that
honestly.
time, Ben, that I'm gonna
Perfect.
have to sign off with you and wish you a Merry Christmas. No, a
Yes, a Merry
great
Christmas.
evening.
Yes, a Merry Christmas.
Well,
That's hysterical. All right,
it's
yes.
all relative. So,
There's no such
thank you
thing as
for
time or
being
space, so it's Christmas again.
exactly. So,
Where's my
thanks for
gift?
being here, and I hope I'll see you again real soon. Okay. All right. Bye. Well, anyway, Dr. Ben was so great for being here. And I want to thank all of you for being here. You guys are awesome to come back and hear me again. And I really appreciate the time that you spend with me. It's a gift. And I love you guys. And so, anyway, I got to show this. Joanne says, num num. I love that. So anyway, I love you guys. I just couldn't be happier to be on my new station, my new channel of uh, body, mind, and spirit healing. So go check it out. I'll be posting stuff there a lot, and as I learn new things, I'll share them with you. And I'll be back next Monday at 8 p.m. So come and ask the witch doctor what you'd like to know, and I'll do my best to share things with you. And good night and bless everyone.